Hey everyone, you know that feeling, that sense that you're carrying something heavy on the inside? Today, we're going to break down what a foundational source text says about that very feeling, that burden, and the path it offers to find real, lasting rest.
The source kicks things off with this incredibly raw and honest line from the Psalms. My guilt has overwhelmed me like a burden too heavy to bear. I mean, wow. Even though that was written thousands of years ago, it just feels so modern, so relatable, doesn't it?
And that leads to a very direct question for you. Have you ever felt that crushing weight of guilt or regret, where it just feels like too much to carry by yourself?
Okay, so let's dig in. The text we're looking at argues that this heavy feeling isn't just some random emotion. In the Bible, it actually has a specific name and a very deep meaning. And that name is sin. Now, the definition here is absolutely crucial. It's not just talking about individual mess-ups or bad choices. It's framed as a deeper condition, a state of missing the mark of God's perfect standard, and, because of that, living separated from Him.
So the source makes this really important distinction. On one hand, you have mistakes, the things we do wrong. But on the other, you have sin, with a capital S. And sin is presented as the root cause of the problem. It's the separation from God that's the real source of the pain and that heavy burden.
You know, that feeling of separation naturally leads to this kind of desperate cry we see here, again from the Psalms. Lord, do not forsake me. Come quickly to help me. What's key here is that this isn't a plea for more personal strength to fix things. It's a total admission that the problem is too big. It's a cry for an outside rescue.
So, after laying out this deep-seated problem, the whole narrative takes a major turn. It explains that this cry for help, well, it doesn't just echo into the void. This is where the story shifts from the burden to the relief.
And here it is, the turning point. According to the source, the answer to that cry, the solution to the burden of sin, is found in one person, Jesus Christ. He is presented as God's direct and personal response to humanity's deepest need.
But how does that actually work, right? It's one thing to say there's an answer, but it's another thing to understand it. So let's get into the mechanics of how this forgiveness is even possible.
The source explains it with this powerful idea called the Great Exchange. Here's how it works. Step 1, we're stuck carrying this impossible burden. Step 2, Jesus willingly takes that burden from us, onto Himself, on the cross. Step 3, in doing so, He pays the price, the penalty that we could never pay. And the result of that exchange? Step 4, we can be completely forgiven and finally find peace.
And this idea of an exchange isn't just based on one random line. The source points to several foundational passages that all weave this same thread. You've got a text from the prophet Isaiah that talks about Jesus bearing the punishment we deserved. The famous verse in John's Gospel frames it as the ultimate expression of God's love. And a passage in Romans drives home that Christ did this for us while we were still lost in our sin.
This brings us to the final and maybe the most personal part of this whole message. Now that we've seen the problem and the solution, the focus shifts to a direct invitation, a pathway for you to experience this freedom for yourself.
And here is that invitation, recorded as a direct quote from Jesus Himself. Come to me, all you who are weary and burdened, and I will give you rest. It's a promise aimed squarely at anyone who feels that exact weight we started this whole conversation with.
And this is the core promise boiled down to its simplest form. The freedom that's being offered here means you don't have to live under that heavy burden of guilt and shame any longer, period.
So, how do you accept this incredible offer? The source suggests it's not through some complex ritual, but through a simple prayer of trust. It really just has 3 parts. First, you admit the problem to God. You're just honest about it. Second, you ask for the forgiveness that He is offering. And third, you actively place your trust in Jesus as the one who made it all possible. And the outcome of that simple prayer of trust is a clear and amazing promise. It's not just the removal of a negative, the burden. It's the addition of an incredible positive, complete forgiveness and the beginning of a brand new life reconnected to God.
So, to bring this all home, the source lands on this powerful conclusion. It fully acknowledges that the burden is real. It doesn't downplay the pain at all. But it makes an even bigger statement. As real as that burden is, the solution offered in Jesus is far, far greater.
And so the source material leaves us right here, not with a neat little bow on top, but with a direct and personal question. It shifts from just giving information to asking for a decision. Will you give Him your burden today?